Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm very good. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And good to see all of you out there, Lucas and Carrie, all the rest of you.
The
So glad
regs,
you're joining us this morning. Yeah,
the
the
regs are
regulars.
popping in. I just
Yeah.
fixing my hair. I got so much hair now. I'm sorry.
I love that one where you puffed it up there. Yeah,
There.
that's good right there.
I just have a tall forehead. Hello, everybody. How are you? Good to see you. Oh my gosh. I needed to sit in a makeup chair before I do this every morning. Makeup, wardrobe. All right. Well, Nina,
Hey,
I imagine
Michael.
imagine you want a bit of an update before we get started on this topic.
I do. I do. Yeah.
This is our exclusive time together, so this is the
Yes, I
one-on-one
always love
update.
the update.
Ooh,
Hey,
here we
Mitch,
go.
glad you made it. Hi, Jacqueline. Chloe, go ahead.
Thank, thank you, Carrie.
Sorry.
I have to point this out. Thank you very much.
Oh, and she's so right about that. Yeah.
It's my fawning fan base. Oh, yes, thank you. No, I will never be like that. Trust me, I will not. I am me. Will always be me. Um, let's see. I could take. I saw that. I was gonna put that up too. Thank you, Chloe. Actually, I got a really good compliment on it yesterday. An Armenian fellow, a
Mhm.
friend of mine that I haven't seen since the beard, and I ran into him. He goes, "Ooh, the beard looks good. It really works on you." I'm like, "Okay, okay." I just need to record everybody who says that and then play it back for my wife.
I I like how well groomed it is.
It's
I
coming
mean,
along.
it looks really, really nice. I don't care for scraggly beards at all,
I
but
did
your
have it.
beard is very beautiful.
Thank you. I'll do my best to pamper it and take care of it. There's like these oils that you can get and stuff. So
Mhm,
we'll see.
mhm.
All right. Not this is not about the beard. Let's. Thank you. Uh, trying to think of the best way to summarize the last I don't know month or so since I've spoken to you. Whirlwind. I I'm wearing a watch that belonged to Soghomon
Mhm.
Tellurian's son.
Oh, wow.
So,
How
Soghomon Tellurian,
meaningful.
yes. So let's start there. So he passed away in
Mhm,
February, and I think I've mentioned that to enough to
mhm.
enough people, and it was a milestone event where now that he's passed, something that was in our non-disclosure agreement no is no longer binding. I can now say his last name. I was not allowed to disclose his last name because he
Mhm.
was a famous Armenian in his own right, and he didn't want to. Well, you know, Solomon Tellurian is maybe the number one hero to Armenians and
Right,
Christians, but he's the number one enemy still to this day to anybody who was on the other side of this historic event.
right.
So the last name was changed. So now I can say his last name. Zavin Melikian was a famous violinist in the Bay Area in the San Francisco Symphony. So I took a cameraman and a producer friend, both Armenian, to visit the widow who has
Mhm,
been in my life as long as he was, and finally, officially getting her on camera because Zavin never wanted to be on camera, even though I used
mhm,
my phone and I did record him a lot. It wasn't a formal interview, so I conducted a
mhm.
formal interview on camera, three cameras. We had three cameras set up with Suzanne, Soghomon Tellurian's daughter-in-law, because she's the last one in that generation. She's the
Mhm.
matriarch. So got that done. um, that was a week and a half ago, and at the end of the interview, she starts giving me things. She hands me, oh, this was Zavin's favorite watch here. I'm like, I'm gonna wear it.
Aw.
I'm gonna wear it for special occasions, etc. And it's already been. Well, let me tell you this. It was a perfect transition conversation starter at an event I went to. Um, my chief of staff, I have a chief of staff now. Everybody's a volunteer at this point, but I have a very let me just put it this way: when one of my other teammates found out who she was, he goes, "Dude, you're bringing in the big guns." So she kind of knows her stuff. She's been a political campaign manager, and she's transitioning to running media campaigns. And so she is all on. Obviously, she's Armenian. She says, "Hey, here's a thing you need to go to," and that thing was a kind of a meet and greet schmooze fest last Thursday.
Mhm.
Oh, I do my thing, which is, "Hi, my name's Michael. This is what I'm doing. Solomon Tellurian." Well, what it was is I met a guy named Zavin. And I go, "Oh, this watch I was just given this. This belonged to a Zavin, and he was a famous Armenian musician, but his father was even more famous, Solomon Tellurian."
Mhm.
But his eyes pop, right? So
Right.
the watch has become a transition into the conversation immediately. And I met two guys. One of them founded the number one Armenian media company,
Mhm.
and the other one is a hedge fund guy. And the hedge fund guy reached out to me 2 days later to set up a meeting with another guy, and that meeting is happening today at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And so these are deep pockets. Just to summarize, I'm having
Mhm.
a meeting with deep pockets today, first time.
Mhm.
All right, there's an
And
update.
we are all praying for
Yes,
that.
yes, pray. All right, now to the subject matter at hand. Have you heard this? Have you heard any
About
rumors? Yeah.
Vivek being here's what I've heard, and I heard this from Glenn Beck, okay? Glenn Beck said President Trump had called him and asked him, "Who do you think I should choose as my running mate?" And Glenn Beck said, "Vivek," and he said, "Why do you say that?" And so Glenn gave him all his reasons. And then the president said, "You know what? Every person I've asked has named Vivek at the top of the list."
So this was relayed
So
by
do I
Glenn
think
Beck.
it's possible? Yeah, that was related by Glenn Beck. I've heard him say it twice. So do I think it's possible? Yes. Do I think it's probable? Could be. Could be. My only concern, not concern, uh, the only question I have as to whether or not Trump would choose him, because I do think Trump respects good talent, and he definitely has talent there, talent in business, talent in government, talent in running a campaign. He's got a lot of the youth behind him. Um, the only hesitation I have about whether or not Trump would choose him or not is whether he would be actually a competition with Trump eventually.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
No. So this was not on my radar of late. Um,
Hmm.
and the reason I picked it as a topic today is yesterday. But so I have been following the news enough to know that people have been reporting, oh, Trump has narrowed it down to three, right? It was like
Hmm.
JD Vance, um, JD Vance, some two other guys. I don't remember who the other two were.
Can't remember who they were. Yeah.
And I
But
was like,
GD
oh,
Vance was the name that I had heard also.
yeah. And
Yeah.
he's my favorite. I like JD Vance a ton. And I think he's got a long history, a long career ahead of him.
Hmm.
And, and then at work on Tuesdays, I share an edit bay with another editor, and thank God he's also been red pilled, right? Somebody that can
Hmm.
speak openly with about a bunch of stuff when our office door is closed. And
Hmm.
so he'll be, when we have downtime, we watch our own things and update ourselves. And he goes, "Oh, JD, Vivek, somebody's saying that Trump has picked Vivek. It's not public knowledge, but that's who he picked." And like he phrased it in that way. I'm like, really? And so as he said that, obviously I'm processing that information again, which I hadn't. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I guess Vivek's not in the running or whatever. And I never really had him high on my list as a VP. I always thought Vivek should be press secretary, right? That's like the
Mm.
perfect position for him. The guy is sharp. He thinks on his feet. He's articulate. He
Mhm.
can come back at you with facts and statistics. Any kind of
Mhm.
nonsensical questions asked of him. Uh, he
Him or Larry Elder, either one of those would make a fantastic press secretary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, absolutely. Larry Elder is right up there as well. Like
Mhm. Mhm.
he's got data, and and he has a lot of qualifications that are disarming, right? These guys are both
Mhm.
minorities, right? They don't have white skin, right? It's not, so completely takes out the one of the narratives. But
Mhm.
in this instance, when my coworker mentioned Vivek being vice president, now it was suddenly in the context of what I've been hearing people saying, or certain people saying, what Trump needs to do is pick a VP who will, um, I don't know if I should even say the word, assassinate proof his candidacy, right? I guess that's not really a word that will prove
Oh, you
that
mean the
will.
same way Kamala assassinated proof Joe Biden's candidacy?
Yes, yes, yes,
Gotcha.
exactly. It's like
Yeah.
he needs to pick a vice president that will be as bad or worse than him if something,
Yeah.
God forbid, happened to him to take his place, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like thinking, well, yeah, Vivek, that is one of the criterion that Vivek absolutely
Mhm.
qualifies him in that condition. I'm like, it's like, oh, well, that would be actually a really good choice, I think, for that reason.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
know people hate Vivek. We have somebody in here who's hating on him. Oh, okay. I'm going to just mention um, Dolly Neal. I haven't seen you in here. Welcome, Dolly. And I see your comments. Black voters, key to winning. Byron Donalds will deliver. He is a fighter who will work alongside Byron. So I like Byron Donalds a ton. I
Mhm.
don't like the
Mhm.
Tim Scott. I shouldn't say I don't like Tim Scott as a VP. I'm not in Tim Scott, but Byron Donalds
Mhm.
is like I was disappointed that he wasn't on that list of three. I'm like, wait. Every time I
Mhm.
see Byron Donalds, he's the man. But I think he and Vivek are equal in
Mhm.
their statuses.
Mhm.
People just don't like Vivek for one reason or another, and it's like, yeah, you can't. People go, oh, he only turned Republican later in life, and he this, he that, and it's like
Mhm.
a guy like Vivek. Some people are like, he's a faker. He's just playing a role. Blah blah blah. He's just doing it for clout or doing it for attention. Just so his name is out there. And well, legitimately, nobody knew who Vivek was a year and a half,
Mhm.
whenever, 2 years ago or
Mhm.
whatever. Nobody knew who he was, and now everybody knows who he is. But
Right.
in my experience, in entertainment, which is full of fakers, right? The entertainment
Mhm.
industry is all about faking, right? About pretending to be someone else and
True.
be something else. In
Mhm.
my experience, it is impossible for someone to fake as consistently as Vivek. When I hear him
Mhm.
in debates, on anchor or on newscasts when they're interviewing, and he goes at them, they come up with something, and he goes at he. It's impossible to fake that stuff. The guy is a
Mhm.
true believer, not in Jesus, and that's my only, you know. Uh,
Yeah, that's my only hesitation there.
but
But,
even that,
I mean, as far as Vivek, yeah.
right?
But I'm praying about that. I have
hmm
hope.
As we all
Yeah.
should. But God uses people that don't love him
Mhm.
all the time, powerfully.
Cyrus
Yep.
Cyrus in the Bible, yeah,
He
all
used
the time.
even
Mhm.
Balaam,
Mhm.
Balaam, who
Mhm.
hated God, rejected God, but could only say what he saw, right? He could only
Right.
speak what he knew. And Balaam suffered. He
Mhm.
was used by God to thwart an attack on Israel. God used him. And so I'm not I I would actually be fairly pleased personally. I'm just going to disclose that just from that instinct, that first reaction I had when my friend said that
Mhm.
wasn't on my radar. He goes, "Oh, is Trump going to pick Vivek?" And that like hit me. Like my initial reaction was, "Ooh, that's a good choice." That was just my initial reaction when I heard it. Like, "Ooh, that's a good
Yeah.
choice." So I'm not saying he's
Mhm.
done it or going to do it, but I wouldn't be upset with it.
I would not be upset with it either. Actually, when I first started hearing Vivek, I thought, "Oh, man." He's pretty young. He's 38 years, well, let's see, I don't know if he's still 38, but he's not more than 40. That's a for sure. So, he's still very young. I'm not sure. I think he's got the stamina, the endurance, the know-how to be president. Um, Experience in politics, whether he could bring people together, not sure. He's untested there. So I'd like to see him in some other things first and, check that out. Vice president, I think, would be a good selection. And I would love to see him as vice president. I wouldn't mind seeing Byron Donalds. I like him a lot. Um, and I think that the thing I like about the two of them in particular is how bold they are with their message. They do
Yep.
not mince words, and they don't try to flavor what they say for their audience. So I like that a lot. I would love to see, um, I wouldn't mind seeing, I have a couple other people I wouldn't mind seeing either. Although I don't think, like, I would not mind having, oh gosh, I just forgot his name. Trump had him in his cabinet before, surgeon. Um,
Oh, yeah.
how could I forget his name?
You
Anyway,
it
I
hit me
I
too. I was
like
like, "I know who
him.
you're talking about." Oh,
Yeah,
Ben Ben
Ben
Ben
Carson, Ben
Carlson.
Carson. I like him a lot. I don't think he could help win the vote for Trump, just being honest. So, although I'd love to see him in the administration somewhere.
Yeah.
I like Jim Jordan,
Mhm.
but I
Oh,
want to
yeah.
see Jim Jordan stay in Congress and keep on investigating because I
Yeah,
think he is dogged about that, and we need him there.
absolutely.
So, but yeah, if somebody could step up and take his place adequately in Congress, um, for him to be vice president, I'd be fine with that too. But my top two picks, I think, have got to be Vivek and Byron Donalds. I'm hoping for one of those.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
um
Now, who's number three on the list? Because I haven't seen that.
okay, so Marco Rubio. So it
Ah,
was that was one of them. So it's JD Vance, Marco Rubio, and then I think some guy who's a governor or something. I forget. It's a name that I hadn't heard much, and when I heard it read, it didn't stick. Um,
hmm
but I was thinking about. I was listening to a sermon. One of my, one of my go-to uh, influencers, right? That's what pastors
hmm
are, right? Pastors and preachers, influencers. Let's call them influencers. And he was talking about how a lot of Christians that argue against Christian nationalism,
hmm
like, well, we don't want to, we don't want to get to a place where we have a a Christian dictator. I'm like, no, 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 that's not what we want. But they'll make arguments like, well, we don't want to, make a separation of church and state, this and that. Even Christians saying that, and this preacher was pointing out that we already live in a fascist system right now, right? We
hmm
live in a, so I started thinking
hmm
Michael Flynn, Peter Navarro, uh,
hmm
Stone, what's his
hmm
name? Uh,
hmm
Steve Bannon, right?
hmm
Like Trump, right?
hmm
Politically and lawfare, right? Being
Yes.
targeted by the apparatus, by the deep state, by the
Yeah.
institutions that have been taken over, right? We
Yes.
we don't live in this constitutional republic as we like to think. when
Mhm.
certain administrations are in power, well, actually, when either side of the aisle is in power, there's already the fourth branch, or
Mhm.
the deep state that is using the institutions to just in it like in a banana
Mhm.
republic. Your
Mhm.
political opposition targeted them, and so all of those
Yes,
moves.
and you're seeing that too with any whistleblowers that have revealed anything that the government is doing. The government goes after them, drags them into court, and they're supposed to be there have been laws made that they're supposed to be protected, but instead they're being prosecuted.
You know, finding the corrupt judges that will,
Mhm.
take talk backdoor deals or whatever, and it's for in their minds it's situational ethics. It's like, oh, since Trump is Hitler, it doesn't matter if I violate our constitution and protocols and
Mhm.
procedures, because, right, the greater good,
Mhm.
right, the greater good is to break these laws to stop that. Like, that's like
Mhm.
calling Trump Hitler is like mind-bogglingly infantile.
Ignorant and
It's like, wait a
ignorant.
minute, you don't know history. You don't
Yeah.
know your history. It's been effectively
Mhm.
suppressed that you think someone like him is equal to someone like him. You have been brainwashed. It's crazy. And
Mhm.
so we don't live in normal times anymore. There's this branch of the Republican Party and the GOP that are trying to get things back to normal, right? They're like, let's just
Mhm.
get back to normal. That's, for me, that's like a Marco Rubio case. It's like, oh,
Mhm. Mhm.
he'd be great like uh, you know, George Bush, right? Like, we're
Mhm.
never going to go back to that soft spokenness. It's like we live in a hostile world. We have powerful enemies around the world that are very happy
Mhm.
with us focused on LGBTQ, right? They're
Mhm.
very happy with
Mhm.
us just destroying ourselves from within with this nonsensical, we don't believe in science anymore. There's no such thing as two genders or two, like, it's like
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
powerful enemies we have around the world are investing in those things because they know those things are pulling our country apart. So we're not
Right.
looking for we're not looking for the past. We're not looking to restore things to the way they were. Right?
Mhm.
We're way
Mhm.
beyond that. We live in a very different world, and that's why people like Vivek, right, are
Mhm.
outliers. That he's a Donald Trump, right? Donald
Mhm.
Trump,
Yes. Yes.
zero political
And
experience.
that's exactly the reason I'm thinking at some point he might actually become, um, inadvertently even as much because I think he is so behind Trump and likes him, wants him to succeed, would be his best advocate, and at the same time, and that's part of the reason I think he would actually be a great vice president because if God forbid anything did happen to Donald Trump, I do feel like Vivek would keep us going in that same direction, which
Yeah,
makes us all breathe a sigh of relief, really.
right.
But I do think at some point there, Vivek has such a personality like Trump. He is so much like Trump. I kind of wonder if they would end up rubbing against each other if they were working in that kind of close proximity. Does
You mean
that make any sense?
you
Yeah.
mean in the position as vice president?
Yeah.
I think, I mean, my limited understanding of DC, um, kind of the joke, not the joke, but the commentary is that the vice president doesn't actually do anything, right? They don't actually have
Mhm.
responsibilities. It's kind of a, depending on, they get
Mhm.
assigned certain things, like Kamala, you're the border czar,
Mhm.
right? You get to, you get to be the point person for that catastrophe, and she's been there
Yeah.
once, right? She's been there once, I think. Um,
Oh,
but
really? She went there once?
I think she did stop by. I don't know if she went all the way up to the fence, but I think she swung through, on some,
She
I don't
made a
remember.
photo op.
All right, right.
Yeah.
Now she ticked
Mhm.
that box. She's in charge of it, but can't. Anyway, we got sidetracked. But I think he would be one of the most active vice presidents, as far as if he's Donald Trump's vice president, uh, they're so on the same page on so many
Mhm.
issues, and because he's so smart, he even in issues that he disagrees upon, he would hold the line, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I mean, it would be such a imagine the vice presidential debate if it's Vivek and Kamala.
He would mop the floor
I
with
want to
her.
see that.
Mop the floor with I do, I
I
do.
would pay
I think that's
pay-per-view.
the reason I think that's part of the reason that Trump and Vivek are so popular, both of them, is because they speak so unequivocally, so boldly, and they say the things so many Americans want to say, but have been afraid to because of the left coming after them or people around them being, "Oh, you know, how can you say such things?" So they don't like being shamed. They just want to, be able to have their opinion, go ahead and live their lives. And they're okay with disagreeing with somebody else. It's that shame element.
Mhm.
Well, Trump and Vivek both have been willing to stand up and they seem to have Teflon. They just deflect that shame. They don't absorb it into themselves. And that is something that the American people have watched and said, "Oh, wow, I want to be more like that. I want to be able to speak out like that. I want to be able to say my mind like that unequivocally and courageously." And that's why they rally to them.
Yeah. Um, let me just put this up here. We have a newcomer in here. Good, welcome, Greg. I like Vivek. I like him for VP, but my number one pick for him is press secretary. Like that guy would be pay per
Mhm.
view every night watching him shred the mainstream media. But I wanted to get back to what we were saying. Um, when Here's the thing with Trump, Vivek, and Byron Donaldson, when they complete a sentence, you feel like you've heard something in English, right? You feel like you've actually an actual
Mhm.
coherent thought has, and you're improved, and you understand something. When Biden and Harris complete a sentence, if they ever do, you don't feel like you've learned anything. It's like, wait,
Mhm.
what? What did you just say? You're going to keep talking, and I'm going to keep trying to find
Mhm.
some meaning, some actual substance. I mean, I'm not
Mhm.
even kidding. It's not even hyperbole. It's like Trump will
It's
say a
true.
sentence, and you're like, yeah. And Vivek will say a sentence, and you're like, whoa. And Biden will say a sentence, and you're like, what? And
Huh?
Kamala will say something, and we're like, huh? It's so bizarre, but it's so obvious.
Yeah, I tell you, when Kamala says a sentence, though, I end up feeling like, "Excuse me, but I'm not in 3rd grade." I mean, that's the way it feels like she talks to the American people, like they're all in 3rd grade. She has to explain everything very quietly, and, but in the end, all she's doing is eating up time so she doesn't have to say anything significant.
That's it. I mean, I, I I wonder when she looks at her calendar and sees at what time she has to be at what place and she has to go up in front of a microphone. I wonder what she
Mhm,
feels in that moment. She's like, I wonder if she's really just so deluded she doesn't recognize that she's not saying anything.
mhm,
And it's like, I,
mhm,
I watch some of these YouTubers that have, there's this one YouTuber, he's always got this panel of, I don't know, OnlyFans girls on there, and they're trying to talk logic to
mm,
this
mhm,
panel of
mhm.
girls who are successful, made a bunch of money, but not through their intellect. You know what I mean? And
Right,
they're just having
right.
these conversations with them, and these girls so adamantly say words, like they
Mhm,
say words, and I'm like, you didn't really even say anything. You're just spouting platitudes.
mhm.
You're just repeating just the script that everybody in your circle is repeating. Have you ever read a book? Right? Have you
Yeah,
ever,
yeah.
I don't, and it's like, and this is, it's, there was a movie, I forget what it's called. Oh, we're almost out of time. Idiocracy. Have you seen the movie
Mm,
Idiocracy?
I have
It,
not seen it.
it's a vision of the future where some professional wrestler rises to become president and everybody's stupid as heck. And it's
Oh,
like,
wait, hasn't that happened? I mean, not president, but governor somewhere. Yeah, I'm
That's the thing.
thinking
The
that
movie came out a long time ago, and it
yeah,
started coming true. Oh, our time is up, Nina. Oh, no, it was a
always
pleasure.
too fast. But thank you for the update, and thanks
Yeah.
for the discussion. That was pretty good.
Thank
Enjoyed it.
you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for coming. All you newcomers that came in here. There's something on this channel every day at 8:30. So you should subscribe to This Way Network. We got stuff going on here every day at this time. And I'm going to sign off with this. God is in control.